The year was 2437. Humanity had finally reached the stars and joined the Great Galactic Union. Commander Ethan Vale, once a pilot, was now a diplomat. His new job was not to fight, but to speak, to show other species what humans stood for. The assignment sounded simple on paper, but he knew it wasn't. He was being sent to Alaris's Prime, home of the Seraphine Empire. One of the oldest and proudest races in the galaxy, the Seraphine were tall. Graceful beings with pale skin that shimmered faintly under the light, their silver eyes reflected emotion like mirrors. They were known for their calm minds and perfect manners. They never shouted, never laughed too loud, never showed raw feeling. To them, emotions were storms that had to be contained. Humans were the opposite, too direct, too passionate, too unpredictable. When Ethan's ship entered Alaris's orbit, he looked out at the world below. 2 moons hung above a sea of crystal blue clouds. Cities shone like glass and silver veins spreading across the land. It was beautiful but cold, like a dream made of ice. As he stepped out of the shuttle, a line of Seraphine guards waited. Each wore long robes of silver and white. Their faces showed no welcome, no dislike, only patience. A tall woman stepped forward, her voice soft but firm. "Commander Ethan Vale of Earth," she said. "I am Minister Talion. You will be escorted to the Palace of Luminar. The High Empress awaits." Ethan nodded politely. "Thank you, Minister," he said, trying to sound confident. Inside, his heart raced. Humanity's reputation depended on him. One wrong word could make enemies that would last centuries. The palace was unlike anything he had seen. Its walls glowed with inner light, and gardens of crystal trees surrounded every hall. Music filled the air, not played by instruments, but by gentle energy flowing through the walls. When he reached the main chamber, the Empress sat on a throne of white glass. Around her stood nobles, with long faces and shining eyes. They looked at him as one might study an unusual animal. The Empress's voice was calm. "Welcome, human. You stand among the Seraphim. Speak." Ethan bowed slightly. "Your Majesty, I bring greetings from Earth and the United Human Colonies. We come not to demand or to boast, but to learn and to share." A low murmur moved through the crowd. His words were plain, not decorated with the usual formal phrases of alien diplomacy. Yet the Empress smiled faintly. "Plain words," she said. "Unpolished but honest. That is the human way." After the ceremony, Ethan was taken to a guest wing. Servants were polite but distant. He noticed how they rarely met his eyes. To them, he was a creature of emotion, a storm wrapped in skin. He felt out of place until the next morning. While exploring the crystal gardens, he heard a soft voice behind him. "You do not walk like the others," it said. He turned and saw her. Princess Alethra. She was unlike the nobles he had met. Her silver eyes held warmth instead of judgment. Her long white hair shimmered like mist. And a small smile played on her lips, a human kind of smile, not perfect or practiced. Ethan bowed awkwardly. "Your Highness," he said. "Forgive me, I didn't know anyone else was here." She laughed lightly. "Few humans come this far. You are the first I have spoken to." Her voice carried a melody that made his heart pause. They walked among the glowing trees. Alethra asked about Earth, about oceans and storms, about how humans could live on a world that changed so much. Ethan told her about the smell of rain, the noise of cities, and how people sang when they were sad. She listened closely, fascinated. "My people fear chaos," she said softly. "We believe emotion clouds reason. Yet, when I hear you speak of your world, I feel something strange. It sounds alive." Ethan smiled. "Maybe because we are chaos," he said. "But sometimes chaos creates beauty." She tilted her head, thoughtful. "You speak boldly, human. Please," he said, "call me Ethan." "Ethan," she repeated, as if tasting the sound. A short name, strong. Over the next few days, they met often by accident at first, then by quiet design. Alethra showed him the inner gardens, the moonlit terraces. and the archives where the Seraphine kept records from 1,000 worlds. She seemed curious about him, about humanity, about the idea of love. One evening, during a royal banquet, Ethan sat beside her at the long table of crystal light. The hall was silent, except for the soft hum of energy. He felt nervous, surrounded by nobles who watched him closely. When he turned toward Alethra, her calm face made him relax. He said quietly, "You have a beautiful smile, princess." The words slipped out before he could stop them. The hall went quiet. Every noble froze. Complimenting a royal's appearance was forbidden, especially by an outsider. Ethan's heart stopped, but Alethra's lips curved slightly. "A human compliment," she said softly. Direct, unpolished, but honest. Some nobles whispered, scandalized. The Empress raised a hand, silencing them. Her eyes studied Ethan, curious, not angry. "You speak your heart, human. A dangerous thing among my people. But perhaps it is needed." That night, Ethan expected to be dismissed or punished. Instead, a note arrived at his chamber. It read, "Meet me at the garden bridge under the twin moons." It was signed with a symbol, Alethra's. When he arrived, the garden glowed faintly blue under moonlight. Alethra stood by the crystal railing, the light making her hair shine like silver fire. "You should not have written that note," Ethan said quietly. She smiled. "You should not have said what you said at the banquet." "Yet we both did." He laughed softly. "I guess we're both in trouble." They stood in silence, the air cool and still. Then she looked at him. "When you spoke earlier, you said my smile was beautiful. Did you mean it?" Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes, you have a smile that feels alive. It's not perfect, but it's real. It makes people want to smile too." Her eyes glimmered. "We Seraphins smile to be polite. But you smile because you feel. That difference? I think I envy it." He hesitated, then said, "Your lips, your smile, they look kind. They make you seem human." Alethra's gaze deepened, a faint glow in her silver eyes. "You compliment my lips, human," she said softly. "Do you wish to taste what truth feels like?" Ethan blinked. "Taste, truth." She stepped closer. "Among my people, there is a ritual called the sharing. It is not a kiss of desire. It is a link, a joining of thought and memory. It lets two souls see one another's truth." He hesitated. "Is it dangerous?" "Only if your heart hides lies," she said gently. He thought for a moment, then smiled faintly. "Then I'm not afraid." Alethra reached up and touched his temple with her fingertips. A faint light spread from her hand, and suddenly Ethan felt his mind open. It was as if his memories became wind, flowing toward her images of blue oceans, the laughter of children, the sound of rain on a window. The ache of loss and the warmth of friendship. Alethra gasped. Her breath trembled as his emotions flooded into her, not thoughts, but feelings. She saw how humans cried, not out of weakness, but out of love. She saw how they could fight for something greater than themselves, even when it hurt. Then, through her, Ethan felt the Seraphine world, the deep calm, the centuries of peace, the heavy silence that came from never feeling too much. He felt her loneliness too, buried under royal duty, a golden cage of perfection. When the link faded, they both staggered back. The connection broke, leaving them breathless. Alethra's hand touched her chest as if steadying her heartbeat. "Your mind," she whispered. "It burns like a star. How do you live with so much pain and still hope?" Ethan smiled weakly. "Because pain reminds us that we're alive. It means we still care." She looked at him for a long moment, her expression softening. "My people would call that madness," she said. "But now, I think I understand." They stood in silence again, the garden glowing softly around them. Then she said quietly, "When we touched minds, I felt your world, the wind, the sea, the laughter. It was loud, but beautiful," Ethan chuckled. "That's Earth for you. Loud and messy, but full of heart." Alethra turned to the sky, her voice barely above a whisper. "Your kind lives for less than a century. yet you fill that short time with more emotion than we feel in 1,000 years. Maybe that is your power." He looked at her gently. "Maybe it's our curse, too." Her eyes glistened in the moonlight. "No," she said softly. "It is your light." A warm silence fell between them. For a moment, the cold world of Alaris felt human. After a while, Alethra spoke again. "You must not tell anyone of our sharing. The council would call it forbidden. They fear what they cannot control." Ethan nodded. "I won't say a word." But even as he promised, he knew something had changed. The link had left a mark, a small thread of connection between them, invisible but real. He could still feel her faintly, like an echo of emotion deep inside his heart, as he returned to his chamber. He looked once more at the twin moons. He didn't know what the future would bring, whether he would be seen as a bridge or a threat. But he knew one thing for certain. Princess Alethra was not like anyone he had ever met. She was calm and bright and impossibly alive beneath her quiet mask. And somewhere in her world of silence, she was probably feeling the same strange heartbeat to souls from different stars. Now forever aware of each other, that night Ethan couldn't sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face, her calm smile, her glowing eyes, her voice saying, "You wish to taste what truth feels like?" He smiled faintly in the darkness. For the first time since leaving Earth, he didn't feel alone among the stars. For many days after the night of the sharing, Commander Ethan Vale and Princess Alethra could not stop thinking of each other. The psychic link between them had faded, yet a small echo still remained. When he walked through the crystal halls of the palace, he sometimes felt a soft warmth in his chest, as if someone far away whispered his name. Alethra felt it too. When she stood before the council or looked out across her shining city, she would pause for a moment and feel the same quiet heartbeat. Both of them tried to act normal. Alethra continued her duties beside the Empress, listening to endless debates about trade and politics. Ethan continued his diplomatic meetings, learning Seraphin laws and history. But everything felt different now. The colors seemed brighter, the air lighter, the silence less heavy. Sometimes, when their eyes met across the grand hall, neither spoke. Yet in that single glance they understood everything. They shared the same secret the night beneath the twin moons when their souls had touched. A week later, a new meeting of the High Council was called. All nobles and ministers gathered inside the Shining Chamber. The discussion was about the humans joining the Galactic Union's deeper council. Some Seraphin elders believed humanity was still too young, too emotional, too dangerous. Ethan was asked to speak. He stood before the glowing circle of council members, feeling their silver eyes on him. "We humans," he said calmly, "are not perfect. We make mistakes, but we learn. Our hearts lead us to explore, to build, and to forgive. Maybe that is what makes us human, and maybe that is what your great union needs." There was silence for a moment. Then whispers started. One elder rose from his seat. "You speak of heart and emotion," he said coldly. "Yet such things are what cause war and chaos. Our people live in peace because we have left emotion behind. Why should we learn from those who drown in it?" Ethan looked around the chamber. He could feel Alethra's eyes on him from her seat beside the Empress. He took a slow breath. "Because emotion gives life meaning," he answered quietly. "Without it, peace is only silence." That night, rumors began to spread. Some nobles whispered that the princess looked at the human too kindly, that she defended him too easily. Others claimed they had seen strange light around them in the gardens. The story grew with every retelling that the human had bewitched her, that he had touched her mind in forbidden ways. When Alethra heard the rumors, she felt fear for the first time in many years. The sharing was sacred. Performing it with an outsider was forbidden. But she also felt anger not at Ethan, but at her people's coldness. They called feelings weakness, yet they whispered behind closed doors like frightened children. That evening, she sent a secret message to Ethan. It was written in soft light that only he could read. "Meet me in the East Tower when the second." Moon rises. Ethan went quietly through the empty halls, his footsteps echoing against the crystal floor. When he reached the tower, Elithra was waiting beside a wide window. Outside, the two moons glowed above the sleeping city. "They know," she said softly. "I guess they would," he replied. "Rumors travel faster than ships." She turned toward him. "The elders are planning to call for your removal. They think you have used your human emotions to cloud my judgment." Ethan smiled sadly. "Then I've done my job too well." "This is not a joke, Ethan," she said. "They could demand that you leave our world tomorrow. If you resist, they might even try to imprison you." He looked at her calmly. "And what about you?" "They could take my title," she whispered. "Or worse, they could erase my memories of the sharing. It has been done before." Ethan felt a cold weight settle in his chest. "Erase your memories?" "Yes," she said, "to protect the purity of the royal mind." For a long moment neither spoke. The air between them felt heavy with things they couldn't say. Finally, Ethan stepped closer. "If they try, I'll leave," he said quietly. "I won't let them hurt you." Elithra shook her head. "No. If you leave now, they'll believe they were right that humans cannot be trusted. Stay, Ethan. Stand beside me when they judge you. Let them see the truth." Her eyes shone faintly, filled with determination. Ethan nodded slowly. "Then we faced them together." The next day the council chamber was filled again. Ministers, soldiers, and nobles crowded the room. The Empress sat upon her glass throne, her expression unreadable. "The council has heard troubling claims," said Elder Taller, an ancient seraphim with eyes like steel. "It is said the human ambassador has broken our sacred laws and bound minds with the princess. What say you, Commander Vale?" Ethan stood tall. "It's true," he said simply. Gasps rippled through the chamber. "But it was not an act of harm. It was an act of understanding. Through the sharing, your princess saw the heart of humanity, and I saw the heart of her people." The elder's voice was sharp. "You speak as if your violation were a gift." Elithra rose suddenly. "Enough," she said. The hall fell silent. "He did not violate me. He showed me truth, what it means to feel. You fear emotion because you think it leads to chaos. But have you not seen that our peace has turned to stillness? We have forgotten how to dream." The Empress looked at her daughter for a long time. "And what did you see in this human?" she asked softly. Alithra's voice trembled but did not break. "I saw courage. I saw kindness. I saw a fire that will not die. In his mind, I saw a world of oceans and storms where people fall but rise again. I saw what it means to live." The crowd whispered uneasy. The elder struck his staff on the floor. "These are dangerous words," he warned. "If we allow emotion to rule us again, we will destroy what we built." Ethan stepped forward. "No," he said. "Emotion does not destroy, it guides. You fear chaos, but chaos made the stars. Without it, there is no creation, no growth. You think humans are wild because we feel deeply? Maybe that is true. But feeling is not weakness, it's strength." For a long moment, the chamber was silent, except for the hum of energy in the walls. Then the Empress rose slowly. Her eyes glimmered with something unspoken. "My daughter believes in you," she said, "and I have seen what this connection has stirred in her. Perhaps we have lived too long in silence." She looked at the elders. "The human will not be punished. He will remain as a guest under my protection." A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd. Some bowed their heads in agreement. Others looked furious. Elder Talar turned and left the chamber without a word. Ethan exhaled, realizing he had been holding his breath. Alithra's eyes met his across the room. For the first time since he arrived on Alaris, he felt accepted, not as an ambassador, but as a person. Days passed, but peace did not last. The factions that opposed the Empress began to plot. They spread new lies that the human had infected the princess's mind, that the Empress was too weak to lead. One night, Ethan was walking through the lower halls when a shadow moved behind him. A figure stepped from the darkness, a seraphim guard. "You should leave this world, human," the guard said coldly. "Before others decide for you." Ethan met his gaze. "Is that a threat?" "It is a warning." The guard turned and vanished into the shadows. Ethan knew then that the danger was real. He returned to his chamber and sent a message to Alethra. "They're coming for me." Within minutes, she appeared at his door, dressed in plain silver robes. "You must leave tonight," she whispered. "There is a ship waiting at the outer port. Go before they reach you." He shook his head. "If I leave now, everything we fought for will die." She stepped closer, her voice urgent. "I cannot protect you this time, Ethan. The elders act without the Empress's blessing. They want this finished before morning." Ethan's voice softened. "Then come with me." Alethra's eyes widened. "Leave Alaris." "I cannot. My mother, my people, your people will still have you," he said gently. "But if you stay and they erase your mind, they'll lose the only one who understands what we found." She looked torn, her hands trembling. For the first time, the perfect calm of a Seraphim princess was gone. She was just a woman, frightened but strong. "I cannot run," she whispered. "Then I'll stay," he said simply. A moment later, heavy footsteps echoed in the corridor. Alethra turned, panic flashing in her eyes. "They're here," she hissed. Ethan moved to the door, but before he could act, the Empress herself appeared with her guards. "Enough," she said sharply. The soldiers froze. Her gaze swept over them, then rested on her daughter. "You would harm a guest of the throne?" The guards lowered their weapons. The Empress turned to Ethan. "You risked your life to protect my child. You have proven your heart. You will not be forced to leave. But you must go now, not as an exile, but as a messenger." Ethan bowed deeply. "Where will I go, Your Majesty?" "Back to your world," she said. "Tell your people that the Seraphim no longer fear emotion. Tell them we have learned that even in chaos, there is light." Alethra stepped forward, tears shining in her silver eyes. "Mother," the Empress placed a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Your bond with this human has changed you. Let that change be our future, not our shame." Ethan turned to Alethra. "Will I see you again?" he asked quietly. Alethra's voice trembled. "Perhaps, when our worlds no longer fear each other." The Empress's ship carried him to the outer port at dawn. As he prepared to board his shuttle, Alethra ran to him one last time. The guards turned away, pretending not to see. She stopped in front of him, breathless. "Do you still feel it?" she whispered. He nodded. "Every moment."